All right, good evening. I'm going to start today's class. Perhaps you're going to join later on. If not, as it's 9:20 already, I have to start with the class and I'm going to do two things. If you get to join, we work in the same way we've been working so far. It means we cover the lesson or lessons we have to cover. In this case, we should have only one lesson and then we should go to our usual practice. We're going to be a little bit more with the writing task. But again, all right, that's going to be the idea. If we get to be together today, we do that. If not, I'm going to take advantage of the time because as I have to use it and I'm not going to have the chance to make you practice, then I'm going to use that time to express another topic, all right, the next lesson as well, and possibly two more lessons so that we have that here and we can use our, well, the time in the future classes to work in the activities that I mentioned related to the writing task for the TOEFL or the speaking part mainly. All right, because reading and listening, that's going to be something that you can be practicing in many ways. I'm going to give you some recommendations. That's a little bit more passive, let's say, not exactly, but I mean, it's not as when you work with speaking and listening, right? In reading, of course, it's not totally passive because you have to read, of course, but you also have to answer some questions and you have to understand the logic right behind those questions. And the same for listening. You listen to, of course, lectures, conversations, but the idea is to understand more or less the type of questions you get to have over there. But that's going to be mainly the work you're going to see in the prep course. All right, here again, I'm going to give you like general, and actually here this is not part of the things we do in these courses from A1 until A12. It should be just general English so that you know that you have the level you need to go to the prep course, right? But again, I'm giving you in this case these elements because I know you have the level that you need, right? And even more. So I'm making you work the things that everybody has to work. Even if you are a native English speaker, you have to work those details because that's the way the TOEFL works, right? With time. And if we don't understand that way of working, if we don't understand the structure it has, it doesn't matter again the level you got. Well, you're not going to get to have the score you want, right? So again, the main idea here is to help you being ready for that. But I already mentioned that I'm just reinforcing that knowledge so that we don't forget what we're doing here. And now I'm going to start the presentation. Okay, so here I go. We already talked about comparing things, or yes, mainly it was like adjectives, right? With ER or more, like taller, smaller, then more comfortable, more difficult. And here we're working with the comparison with SS. This SS comparison is used with many things as we're going to see now. Let's read actually. Use the structure SS to show equality or inequality between two people, objects, places, animals, or ideas. It's possible to use the comparison with adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. All right, again, so many things that we can be comparing using this structure. Here we have some formulas and some examples, right? It isn't or it's not as big as the old one. It's as good as you can get for the price. That's, for example, working with adjectives, right? As big as good as. Then you have adverbs. It doesn't work as well as we'd hoped. We finished as quickly as we could. And here again, adverbs. The adverbs are in between the structure, right? Well, quickly. So you have those two possibilities here and one more. And here, if you remember, we already talked about some adverbs and intensifiers that needed the use of extra words in case, right, we want to use that with nouns. It happens the same here. And if you remember, the logic is the same. Much for uncountable, right? Nouns and many for countable ones. So it says he doesn't earn as much money, sorry, as his brother, and there aren't as many people as there were last year. All right, so you have that there just to make you notice that you can use this structure with adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. And those are the requirements, and these are the formulas just in case you want to verify that you're doing that correctly. You can use this in any tense, right? You have that in present, past, future. It's up to you. Now, the thing here is that this can work for equality and inequality, as we mentioned at the beginning. If it's equality, the ideas are going to be affirmative, of course, and we can have certain modifiers to make this equality, all right, more or less precise, or getting close to not even being equal. So again, that's to see a little bit of variety. But let's understand that. First, equality, just an affirmative idea, right? My cooking is as good as yours. That's equality, right? The quality of my cooking is the same as yours. I can sing as well as you can. My ability to sing is the same as yours. In quantity, right? There are as many people here who can speak Chinese as English. So the numbers of people here who can speak Chinese and English are the same, right? So again, if we want to talk about equality, let's keep that idea affirmative. Now, nearly, right? This idea gives a different degree of equality that is actually not exactly the same, right? So when we use nearly, we to modify, sorry, positive as sentences, the meanings are different, all right? And it can be a small difference or a big one. Matilde, how
Hi,
are you?
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that there was a strike or something from the teachers, and it took me forever to get here. And I wrote you to the WhatsApp. I'm really sorry. I'm,
Don't worry.
yeah,
Yes, I was
sorry.
not paying attention there, and it's good. All right, you're always here, so don't worry. Perhaps
Yeah,
I got to see that perhaps something happened. It's good to to see that you're okay. So I'm just starting with this lesson. All right, we're
okay,
learning about the SS comparison.
okay,
So far, I just mentioned the definition that this is to compare, right? Adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. It can compare people, objects, or anything you want. And it serves for equality or inequality. Here you have some formulas that you can check in the presentation. For equality, we take a look at just affirmative ideas. And now I'm here, all right? So I'm just here
okay.
nearly. So I don't know if you have perhaps questions about these or about anything before continuing with the presentation, Matilda. Let me know, please.
No, I don't think so. I'm familiar with that part.
Good. Great. So let's continue. Nearly is going to again change this in a different way of seeing equality in terms of the degree of how similar something is to something else. So please, let's try to read this slide, Matilda, to understand very well the usage of nearly.
Okay. When we use nearly to modify positive as sentences, the meaning are different, small differences nearly. With positive as structure, nearly shows a small difference. David is nearly as tall as Michael, small difference. Michael is only a little taller than David. Compare this with the negative sentence. David isn't nearly as tall as Michael. Big difference. Michael is much taller than David.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So just by changing, right, the sense of the sentence, nearly can have a very different meaning. So what happens when nearly is used in affirmative sentences and in negative sentences, Matilde? How can you explain that in your own words?
What happened if sorry, I didn't,
Yes, when you use nearly, right, in
yeah.
sentences, in affirmative sentences and in negative sentences, what is the difference that you see when you use them or when you use this word in those two cases, according to you and using your words?
Well, yeah, I would say, as the slide says, um, I would say like my mother is nearly as uh, good cook as my sister. So I'm referring that she's, just a little better. But if I use in the negative form, there's a big difference. I mean, I will be referring to a big difference between the abilities between both of them.
Great, right? Good, correct, right? You have it over there, but again, it's to see that everything is clear. So in affirmative, we can be close to equality, and in negative, of course, we are in the field of inequality, right? That is not even close to it, right? So good, nearly. Then we have quite and just. Let's keep reading this, please.
Okay. Using quite and just for emphasis. If you want to emphasize that two things are the same, for example, because the person we are speaking to may not accept what we are saying, we can use quite and just. You are a terrible tennis player. I'm just as good as you. This phone is quite as good as the one, even as that one, even if it does cost less.
Right, correct, right? And in this case, perhaps these two words have a very specific purpose, and they are not going to add anything special besides the emphasis. You have the examples and explanation there. What is one possible situation that you can tell me in which you can use quiet or just Matilda? That follows the same logic that you can see there. What do you
Mhm.
say?
Um, um, I'm just as broke as you are.
Okay, yes. Uh-huh. And in what context can you say that? For example, what is the
Mm,
interaction with someone over there so that you
yeah.
decided to use just over there?
Like, I'm so broke. Could you lend me some money? And I could say, I'm just as broke as you are. Yeah.
Okay, great. Very good. Right? So emphasis on the idea that you are both in the same situation, right? So good.
Yeah.
Great. Now, inequality, again, very simple. We use negative ideas, right? That's the main idea here. Let's only read the examples, please.
Okay. This one isn't as big as the old one. The old one is bigger than this one. Jenny's new flat isn't as nice as her old one. Jenny's old flat is nicer than her new one. And Paris isn't as big as Tokyo. Tokyo is bigger than Paris.
All right, there you go, right? So the main idea here is that when you want to talk about inequality, you have to use negative statements. It can be with adjectives, as we did over here, or with adverbs, as we have in this case, right? And again, the only difference is that the structure SS is right surrounding the adverb in this case instead of the possible adjective over there. So we're not going to read that one. We're going to go to this because it was about adjectives, adverbs. Now this is for nouns. And if we want to talk about nouns, as we did with previous structures, Matilde, we have to add extra words or modifiers, in this case, many and much, right? And we know when to use them. So let's read this slide, please.
Okay. The as structure is often used with quantity expressions such as much and many. This phone doesn't have as many features as the other one. The other phone has more features than this one. And my ticket didn't cost as much as yours. Your ticket cost more than mine.
There you go. Thank you very much. So again, this is in case we want to talk about quantity. We are mentioning countable and uncountable nouns. And I believe this is going to be the last part. Yes, we have here one more time nearly, but also nowhere and quite in this inequality part of the presentation. So to show big difference and to show small difference, we can use some of these expressions. So let's replace those two cases, Matilda, emphasizing a big difference and emphasizing a small difference.
Emphasizing a big difference. England isn't nearly as big as Russia. England, England is now nowhere near as big as Russia. Russia is much bigger than England. Emphasizing a small difference, my flat isn't quite as big as Jenny's. Jenny's flat is a little, a bit, or slightly bigger than mine. The journey didn't take quite as long as it did last time. The journey took a little, a bit, or slightly longer last time.
Great, thank you very much. And we have also those expressions over there that are interesting, right? A little, a bit, or slightly for this type of comparison with ER or more that can also be useful, right? So that's it. Again, today we're only going to work with this presentation. Now we're going to get to work with the essay we're working on. We're going to try to add some other elements. But again, I want to know if you have questions about this topic. Let me know, please.
No, I don't think so. It's okay.
All right, good. So let's then go over there. I'm going to ask you please to go to our document, all right, our file, the new file we have for A9. And you have, well, right, you have over there the introduction plus the first paragraph that you can perhaps continue working. But before going there, once again, we're going to try to see some details. And is this. We already mentioned some of the transitional words, but I want you to practice with some of them. I didn't upload these presentations yet. I have to do it, but now we're going to work with the transitional words presentation, and we're going to write some ideas in that same document. And let me see where it is, this one. Let's wait. All right. So over here, again, I've already showed you this, but we're going to practice with specific ones. For example, in additive transitions, you have these categories, right? Adding information, referencing, clarifying, identifying, and the one I cannot see now. Okay, important information. So those three are actually the most common adjectives, or sorry, transitional words, additive transitional words or phrases. These ones are, of course, useful as well, but these are the ones we're going to practice now because these are very common for essays. Here, I imagine that you've used all of them. Let me know, please, from this list. Here you have common terms and common phrases. What are the ones that you use the most and the ones you use the least? What do you say? Just from this part.
Just for adding information?
That's correct. I'm going
Okay.
to mark it because it's not clear from that list.
Okay. I would say I usually use also or furthermore. Yeah. In addition to, maybe, but not that
Not that
frequently.
much? Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. I know the other phrases, but I know I don't usually use them.
Good. Well, and which ones are the ones that you use the least? Let's say you've used it, I don't know, just a couple of times, or perhaps more, but less, way less than the other ones.
As a matter of fact, I think I don't usually use that one.
All right.
And moreover, I think I don't use moreover that much.
Okay. Good. Again, this just to practice now with those ones to make them part of our vocabulary. And even though you know them, right, it's going to be interesting to have those as synonyms. Because as you can see here, actually, all of them work in the same situation. So it's interesting to change the words, right? So good. Those, well, let's take that into account. Let's keep going to the next part. Now here, in referencing, the same. What are perhaps the ones you use a lot or you've used a lot and the ones that you haven't?
I would say, I mean, looking at, I think I used that.
All right.
In work, I usually use a lot with regards to, and considering maybe, but not nothing. Yeah, anything else.
All right. And the ones that you, well, haven't used a lot of times?
What the ones that I haven't,
Yes.
concerning, as for, maybe. Yeah, I don't think I use as for. Yeah.
All right. Those two. And the same here, down below. And down below, you can tell me directly the ones that you haven't used much. So what are those ones?
Specifically, and to put it in another way.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Great. Now, let's take that into account then, and we're going to go to our document. Now, you have two options here, all right, to work with this exercise. You can give me separated ideas in which you use these expressions, these transitional words, okay? For example, you can give me one idea that is not a complete paragraph, but you have to use a moreover and as a matter of fact. All right, so it can be, again, one long sentence or two sentences, but there has to be, right, the two parts that you need to use moreover and to use as a matter of fact. Okay, so that's one, and you have to do the same for referencing and for clarify. And the second option is that actually you don't have to use all of them, but you're going to try to give me, again, one paragraph, or let's say in this case, two paragraphs, in which you are going to use at least or write four of these expressions. Not all of them, but at least four of them. Okay, so again, you can give me separate short ideas in which you use the two words in each of them. So you use the 6 in total, or one paragraph and a half or two paragraphs to use at least four of them. All right, I'm not asking to use the 6 of them because as all of them are adding information is not going to work very well. If you use the 6 of them in just one or two paragraphs, is going to feel a little bit weird. All right, so it's your decision. You decide what way, all right, you want to show me, but I don't know if you have questions before, well, giving you the time to do it, Matilde. Let me know, please.
Okay, so I choose the theme. I mean, what this paragraph or sentences are about.
Yeah. I mean, the topic, anything you want to mention there is okay. The only thing I'm going to be verifying now, all right, because this is like something extra, is the logic and the usage of these transitional words. If the context makes this logic, then it's okay. But you can give me the sentences, the ideas, the paragraphs about whatever you want, all right? Any tense, any topic, anything you want.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
just
good.
one question, because I'm not completely sure about as for. I mean, it's as for Um,
In this
like when I'm
case,
trying to make an example as for, yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
and remember, this is part of the category referencing, right?
Mm.
Anytime you use these expressions that you have in referencing, actually they are interchangeable. So the way you use looking at is exactly the same as you have to use as for. All right, exactly the same. It has to be an interchangeable. If it's not,
Okay.
perhaps we are not using that correctly. All right, and when do we use it? Is when you want to go back to something that you mentioned before, or when you are giving a list of items and you're developing those items and you are going to the next part to develop the next definition for the next item, right? For example, let's say, right, you're talking about one type of television. So the television is like this, like that, right? Now, as for, I don't know, right? As for the system that it has, comma, right? It is integrated with this and that, all right? So as for, like here, if you say considering the amount of research in this area, you can replace that with as for the amount of research in this area, comma, little evidence has been found. All right, so it's exactly the same way. It's just to introduce what is the topic that now you're going to be talking about.
Okay.
All right, good.
Yeah.
There you go. If you have more questions, I'm going to use the timer. As we need to write one paragraph and a half or two paragraphs, we're going to have the 7 to 8 minutes. And again, try to do as much as you can. I'm going to start with the clock. And as soon as I start, please, you can work there.
I I I think I lost you for a minute.
Yes, can you hear me,
Hello?
Matilde? I couldn't
Yeah.
hear. Yes.
Yeah. I lost you for a minute. I didn't hear just the last part.
All right. No, yes, I was saying as I'm getting the clock, now it's here. I'm going to start
Okay.
with the clock, with the stopwatch. And I don't know if you have perhaps any final questions or comments before starting the timer and, well, before you can start to work. Let me know, please.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's okay. Can I?
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I wanted to see this part. Yeah, okay, okay, perfect.
There you go. So please, let's have it 8 minutes and we check in that time.
Okay.
Right, we check in 30 seconds, please. So be finishing the last details and we'll read what we have.
Okay.
All right, now, as you're finishing the last details, I'm going to work on one detail myself, and is that anytime you see the word this here, right, you have considering this, concerning this, you can replace that with a phrase, right? And remember that a phrase is an incomplete sentence, right? For example, here it says, considering the amount of research in this area, right? In the amount of research in this area, we don't have verbs, right? We don't have complements. It's like one subject, like one noun, but this is what you call a noun clause because it has many components, but it's not a sentence. All right. So with
Okay.
considering, concerning, regarding, as for, looking at, we have to use phrases, and even with all of them, actually, yes. If you analyze, I'm taking a look at everything. You have
Mhm.
this information with all of them we can only use phrases and then in the next part a complete idea, but also of course to even make them more logical, we need another complete idea before these expressions so that we get to understand the context and why we are using these words as a reference to something else. Okay, here perhaps of the time and everything, we don't have to or we didn't have to clarify all that context, but I didn't read yet. I'm going to do it now.
Mhm.
So let me go there. I'm going to change this in a second, all of them to phrases so that we don't have any type of, or actually, I'm going to do it now. Misunderstanding. All right. And there you go. Now,
Yeah.
I'm here with you.
Okay. I will
And
put this to separate it better. Okay.
I'm going to zoom. Now, I'm here. Let's read, please.
Okay. Last week, my family participated in a local event. It is an event for local cheese producers who want to show their production to a wider public. In this festival, they had a contest for choosing the best cheese and the best decoration. As a matter of fact, this will be the fourth time my family business competes with other cheese producers. Moreover, they have won 3 times in a row as the best chaqueño cheese, so they are quite known around the region. As for the decoration of the stand, we didn't have much time to invest in this, so we weren't part of the finalists. Yeah, it's missing here some transitional word. This year we won again for the fourth time.
Okay, thank you very much. Good. All right, very good. We're going to see those two details that actually Grammarly is suggesting to change, but also it's important that we understand when we have to take those corrections into account and when it is still okay if we keep it like that, right? Because in many cases, it's up to, right, us or ourselves to make that. So here, right, a very little detail, right, the comma for last week. So this is going to be the first introductory phrase, right? So good. It is an event, so here we are clarifying here. Here they want to change this to plural, I'm sure, yes, but if you're talking about production as an abstract idea, right, in a factory and so on, so I believe that you don't need a change. Also here in the preposition in, Grammarly says that it should be at because it's a public event, right? All public events should be with at. So you can do that if you want to avoid possible corrections, but actually to say in is not incorrect because you're going to see if you write, for example, in the hospital instead of at the hospital, in many cases Grammarly is going to work that correction. But it's not always good. Why? Because if you go to Google, right, or you go even better, if you go to Cambridge or Oxford or other dictionaries and look for the difference between in and at for public places, they say that it's up to you because both are correct. It's just the meaning that you want to give. In this case, I believe that you are not talking being inside of a place in which the festival is taking place, because that's too specific. You're talking about the festival in a general way. All right. So if that's the case, if it's just general, at would be the best option. All right. But again, to use in is not incorrect. In would be just the idea of being inside of a building or inside something like a hospital or a school, right? For example, if I ask you this to have this clear, when do you think that is a good idea to say in the hospital? And when do you think it's a good idea to say at the hospital? Because both are correct.
Mm, I would say, I mean, at the hospital, I would say like yesterday, they picked me up at the hospital. Yeah,
Good.
and
That's possibility. Good. And the other one?
in the hospital, um, like in the hospital or in hospitals, maybe there are usually a lot of nurses and doctors working all
All
day. I
right.
don't know.
Good. Yes. Yes. I believe that that's the logic. It is good. And I would put that into two categories, right? Or into two big examples because I think they are good. In the first one is because you don't want to say that you are specifically right inside the hospital, right? You are at the hospital, like a general idea, right? In the second one, you're saying that inside the building that happens to be a hospital, you get to find right doctors, nurses. So that's good, right? And that's correct. And the general thing that grammar is going to tell you is that this is the logic. In grammar, they say if you are in that place just temporarily, for example, because you are sick and you have to be inside that place, the hospital, for example, we use in, right? I'm in the hospital because I'm very sick. But we say at
Mm.
when we want to say that we work in that place. But as we don't want to clarify that we work inside the hospital, sometimes we have to go out. It doesn't matter, right? We work at the hospital. So at when you work in that place, in when you are there temporarily. All right. It happens the same with school, right? You are at school, you study at school, but you can be in the school when you are there for your children, for example, right? And you are in the school. So that's the logic. So the same here. If you believe that it's really, really necessary to say inside the place in which the festival is taking place, it could be in, right? That's why I'm saying it's not incorrect. But as I believe that in this case, it's like general, it was inside, but they did general, it can be at. Now, if I'm going to leave you right with your criteria, it's always going to be the writer's criteria. So we have both options. They are correct as long as you can justify, or at least you can show in your writing that that position is the best option. All right, it's always going to be then up to you. It says that my connection is unstable. I don't know if you were able to hear everything, Matilde. Let me know, please.
Yeah, it's a bit unstable, but I could understand what you were saying, so it's okay.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you. Now, this is the next part. It is good. I believe everything else is good. Again, sometimes I don't pay attention to every detail. If you get to see, like in the previous case, or right, something that you believe or you are not sure if it's good or not, let me know. All right, but I'm going to try to pay attention mainly to the transitional words we have to use and to these punctuation marks and those things. So this will be right for time and family compete. Okay, with other cheese producers. Moreover, this is the next one. Good. Right, so we have these two so far. They have. All right, great. So they are. So this is the one, right? Here I can give you the same recommendation as it's not that, but remember that so as being used with the sense of consequence, right, is better with comma, semicolon, or use it with a different transitional word, right? So here, as you can see, this is actually very short, right? I mean, it's not a short idea, but it's not a big one as well, right? So a comma here would be good. Just a comma would work great. All right, like that one, I like that one. Now, if you feel that it, again, it can be some, or yeah, there can be a little bit of confusion because of this comma, but I don't believe that can be the case. You can use a semicolon, right? But again, to use it with that purpose, we use this. Or again, what could it be another solution for that one? Matilde, because the previous one was not
Mhm.
incorrect. It is correct, but in academic writing, this is going to be considered as a better way of using so. But imagine that you don't want to use a comma because you feel that there is you need a stronger division between these two ideas. So what is the other option that you can apply?
I could change to a transitional word and use a period.
Correct. Our semicolon, right? One of those two
Mm.
is going to work. Good. And what transitional word or phrase do you think can replace so?
Mm, therefore,
Yes,
else.
that's one. Correct. Anything that is related to result or consequence works over there, right? So good, very good. And again, so can be used in that way, but it's better when it starts like an idea and it's not the consequence of anything, right? For example, so I was thinking about this, right? And it came to my mind that this and that. So it's not the consequence of anything, it's just introducing anything that is not specific at all. All right, but you know that one, so it's just a clarification over there. As for the decoration, this is great
Yeah.
and great. This is right, the decoration of the stand. That's going to be phrase. I don't have much time to invest in this, so you have this correctly this here, and there you can add the transitional word that you believe is better. But so
Yeah.
far, I believe we're working great. I don't know if you have questions because I would like to take these 5 minutes that we have to now work on the next paragraph for your essay. At least just work a little bit of it. I don't know. Do you have any questions? Let me know, please.
No, I don't think so.
Good. Now, please, let's go to your essay. You have the option now of using these transitional words for the second body paragraph. If you can still add something for the first body paragraph that you have, do it. If not, you can go directly to the second one and use some of these transitional words and other ones that you believe can work over there. All right? So
Okay.
I'm just going to, you have this list. So I'm
Okay.
going to leave you that there as well. Here you have to illustrate, to give examples, to add information, to clarify. So use any of these because they work in the same way as the ones you used. Let's do it, please. Again, let's have these 4 to 5 minutes. We check and we finish with that.
Okay.
Good. All right, so we're with the 5 minutes. Let's take a look at what you were able to work on, and that will be for today.
Okay.
I'm here with you. Let's read that second body paragraph, please.
All right. Second, considering security aspects, you will feel more secure if you travel with friends. To illustrate, if you are in the public transportation or you are moving around the city, you need to be really careful with your belongings. If you're traveling with friends, you will always have another set of eyes to watch your stuff. Also, if you decide to go out at night, they will always know the details about where you went.
Thank you very much, Matilde. Good. One thing that perhaps is going to improve just this part. Look, for example, here, as you have, and this is one logic that you can get to manage, is going to help you with punctuation. To illustrate, if you are right, we're going to change the preposition over there, public transportation, or you're moving around the city. This is a parenthetical phrase, right? And it's great, okay? It's not incorrect. Everything there is correct, okay? So just one suggestion, it would be, as we have commas before and after that idea that can produce a little bit of confusion sometimes, remember that you have the option of using the M dash. So you can do it in this case, right? Just because you have the commas over there. But it's up to you. Once again, this is correct and no one is going to correct this as it is not, because it is. So my suggestion is that to avoid any possibility, all right, for confusion, again, you can use the double dash there and over here just to replace that comma. All right, and in that way, it's going to be good. And this one, remember, it's going to be on, and in general, we say only on public transportation. All right, without that one again. All right, so good. There you go. That's it. Then you need to be careful with your belongings. If you're traveling, you will have a set of stuff. Also, great as a transition word. If you decide to do this, they will always know the details about where you went. There you go. So it's great. You're using these transitional words, and all the rest also is working very good. I don't know if you have questions. I believe you're working very good with this. Let me know, please, to be finishing today, Matilde. because that's my only observation.
Yeah, no, I think it was clear. Yeah.
All right, good. So let's finish then. All right, I'm sharing the survey for today's class that you have over there with you now, and
Okay.
that's it. I hope you enjoy your weekend, that you have a good night, and I'll see you on Monday.
The following Monday. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yes, you're right. I was
Yeah.
going to be there. Okay, thank you
Yeah.
for reminding
Yeah.
me. Okay, yes, so I hope the next week, well, is everything good with you then, and I'll see you, well, the following Monday then.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good weekend too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.